Hi friends, thank you so much again for joining me today. Namaste. We're going to work on releasing the hip flexor and the psoas today. So to begin with, let's go ahead and just lie down on your back. You're not going to need any props today. Just you and your body and your mat is perfect. So lie down on your back, please. And then once you lie down on your back, bring your knees together and let your feet be mat width apart. So go as wide as you can with the feet. Let the knees knock in together and just pause here for a moment with your hands right on the hip bones. So you can begin to sense your breath. Just notice that you can really, with each exhalation, soften the groin, soften the sacrum, a little bit closer to the earth. Inhale through the nose, feel and sense your breath flowing all the way to the pelvic floor. And then as you exhale, feel and sense that breath kind of circulating and spreading in the pelvic area and softening. So this entire area, the pelvic area, is so complex in terms of all the muscular structure and even in terms of energetically. We hold a lot of tension in this area. So as you inhale, feel your breath flowing all the way to your hips, to the pelvic floor. And then with your exhalation, allow everything to soften, just like melting onto the floor. Feel the groin soften. Feel your lower back, your sacrum soften towards the floor. Just feel a sense of support from the earth beneath you. And just stay with that visualization, just stay with that breath for a little bit longer. Inhale through the nose and feel and sense your breath traveling all the way to your hips. And then as you exhale, feel the breath softening the hips, softening all of the muscles in the hips, all the tissues, all the connective tissues. As if you can really sink into the earth. And then just begin to bring your feet parallel to each other so that the knees and the feet are parallel to each other. Then draw the right knee towards your chest. And as you do, interlace your fingers behind the right hamstring and begin to raise the bottom of your right foot, the sole of your right foot towards the floor. Now, but maybe you can grab to the outside edge of that right foot with your right hand. And then bypass the rib cage and begin to draw that right knee a little bit closer to your chest. Maybe rock a little bit side to side in this kind of a half happy baby pose. And as you do, can you allow the inner edge of that right foot to lift up towards the ceiling? So the outer edge is gently being guided down towards the floor as the inner edge is being lifted up towards the ceiling. And then find stillness, come to stillness, and notice what's happening in the low back as you're doing this. Maybe the low back is pressing down to the earth as the sacrum is lifting up or the tailbone is lifting up. So maybe begin to back off a little bit to allow for the natural curvature of the lumbar spine. So go ahead and put your right hand behind the right hamstring and then gently begin to maybe extend that left leg straight out on the mat. So see if you can keep that integrity of the hips the way it is, and then begin to bring the right knee as close as you can. The minute you feel that the low back is pressing down to the floor, just back up. Back up a little bit. Take a nice deep inhalation, nice long exhalation. And then gently begin to release that right leg down to the floor. The right foot comes down. Draw the left knee towards your chest. And initially, go ahead and interlace your fingers behind the left hamstring. And then the bottom of the left foot, the sole of the left foot starts lifting up towards the sky, and grab the outside edge of the left foot. Then gently bypassing the rib cage, begin to bring that left knee more and more towards your armpit. And you can rock a little side to side in this half happy baby pose. And as your left hand is guiding the outside edge of your left foot down towards the floor, begin to lift the right inner edge of that foot towards the ceiling. And then taking your awareness back to your back, notice that your back may have flattened against the mat. Can you back off a little bit? So bringing your left hand to the back of your thigh, re-establish the natural curvature of lumbar spine, and then extend the right leg out onto the floor. So maybe you are not going to be able to go as far with the left knee, but that's okay. We're not here to try to be in a competition to see who can go furthest with the left knee. Just be very kind, gentle with that, with your lumbar spine, allowing that nice curvature of the lumbar to remain. Take a nice deep inhalation. Nice long exhalation, and then gently begin to bring the left foot all the way back down to the floor. Now drawing both knees down to towards your chest, up towards your chest, and begin to rock a little side to side. Then rolling all the way over to one side, press yourself up and crossing your ankles. Go ahead and come up to downward facing dog. And your first down dog, go ahead and extend your feet so that your feet are mat width apart. So go as wide as your mat with your feet. So make it a nice wide foot, wide-legged downward facing dog. And bending your knees, begin to lift your sitting bones straight up to the sky. Feel that kind of an extension in the spine before you allow the hamstring to stretch. So really bend the knees so you take the hamstring out of this pose. So you can really extend through the spine, sending the sitting bones straight up to the sky. And then come to top of the plank pose. So maybe walk your hands up a little bit, walk your feet back a little bit, and to the plank pose. And in your plank pose, pull the belly in, elongate the tail towards your heels. Inhale. And then as you exhale, press back into regular down dog. Again, bend the knees deep. You can lift the heels off the ground. The intention is to send your sitting bones up to the ceiling to get a nice stretch in the spine. Inhale, coming forward to plank. And exhale, lifting the sitting bones up to the sky, lifting the hips to downward facing dog. Inhale, coming into plank. Keep the belly integrated. Exhale, downward facing dog. And one more time, please, on your own. Inhaling, coming to plank pose. Pause for a moment in plank. And exhaling, downward facing dog. Good. This time, as you come forward to plank, just pause there. Lifting the right foot off an inch. Take a nice deep inhalation. Keep the belly engaged. Notice how that right hip wants to fall down towards the floor. Can you lift the right hip up at the same time that the right foot is off the ground? And then lower the right foot down. Inhaling, lift the left foot up. And again, notice how that left hip wants to roll down. Can you keep the left hip up so that it's both hip bones are facing straight down towards the floor? And then lower that foot down. And we're going to do that one more time on both sides, but we're going to add on. So lifting the right foot up, and then bring the right foot behind the left foot, and then press back into this version of downward facing dog. Exhale. Inhaling, coming forward. Lift the right foot back up, plank pose. And then your inhalation is going to lift the left foot up. Bring the left foot behind the right foot so you cross your ankles, and then press back into downward facing dog. A little bit of a variation. And then coming forward to plank pose, and then back, full plank. Bring your knees down, your chest down, your chin down, and then lift up into cobra or upward facing dog, and press back into downward facing dog. Take one more nice inhalation, one more nice exhalation, and then begin to walk your feet towards your hands. Inhaling, coming halfway up, and exhaling, fold forward. Inhaling, coming all the way up, reach up, and exhale, hands come to the heart center. Good. We're going to add on. Inhaling, reach all the way up, and exhaling, fold forward. Inhaling, halfway up. Exhaling, taking your right leg back behind you into a lunge. And then begin to walk that left foot out to the side just a little bit so that you can bring the left hand on the inside of that right foot. Now notice again that right hip wants to melt down, the right hip wants to fall down. Can you lift that right hip up and then lift through the right leg's inner thigh, lifting that inner thigh straight up to the sky, moving the left hip back as you're pressing down through the bottom of the left foot. So keep that back leg and nice and energized, as straight as you can. Inhale, lift the chest up. And then maybe you can begin to walk your fingertips forward, reaching out of your waist. Take a nice deep inhalation. Maybe you can bring your forearms down to the floor. Again, notice if that right hip just wants to fall down. Can you keep that back leg energized so that the right leg stays straight, the right hip pointing down towards the floor. Take a nice deep breath in. Imagine a wall behind your right heel and you're pressing onto that wall. Exhale. And then your inhalation is going to bring you all the way back up. Shift your weight to the left foot and gently begin to step your right foot to meet the left. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhaling, fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up once again, and then as you exhale, this time you're taking your left leg back behind you into the low lunge. Keep that back leg nice and energized. Notice if your tendency is to let that left hip drop, can you lift that left hip up and energize the quadricep, the thigh muscles on that left hip. And then begin to walk your right foot out to the side just a little bit so that the right hand can come to the inside of the right foot. Good. Maintain the integrity of that left leg. Engage the belly so that the psoas can be engaged, the hip flexors can be engaged. And then walk your hands in front of you just a little bit. You can go a little bit or a lot, depends on you this morning, but keep the shoulders away from the ears. Now, if you can engage that back leg and keep it energized, you'll feel more of a stretch in the quadricep. Take a nice deep breath in and exhale. And then walking your hands all the way back in. Take your right leg back behind you, top of the push-up. You can come down to your knees, your chest, your chin. Lift up into cobra. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Good. And then maybe child's pose would be good for you. Maybe you can stay in downward facing dog. Take a couple of nice deep inhalations and exhalations. And then we're all gonna meet in down dog. With your inhalation, please lift your right leg up behind you. And then as you exhale, draw the right knee towards your chest and lightly step the right foot in between your hands. Now this time, let that left knee come down to the earth. Very nice. And then I know, because I do this often, it's really nice to kind of let that left hip drop. But for this practice, I want you to keep that left leg engaged. So lift your torso up. You can interlace your fingers on top of your right leg. And then notice, if you move forward, you feel this stretch slightly differently than if you're up here and engaging the quadricep. It's not that this is incorrect or wrong. We're just focusing slightly on a different muscle group for this morning. So keeping your fingers interlaced on top of your right knee, right thigh, begin to pull the belly in so the tailbone goes towards your the floor. And then while you're maintaining that engagement of the left hip flexor, then you can begin to slowly come forward. So it's not going to be as deep as you would if you don't have that engagement, but that's okay. Again, like I said, we're just working on a different muscle group today. Take a nice deep inhalation and exhale, and then coming back up, inhaling, reaching the fingertips all the way up to the sky. Flex the left toes, so tuck the toes behind you. Go ahead and grab your left wrist with your right hand. Inhale, extend towards the sky. Make yourself tall, spine is tall. And then exhale, just a nice simple side bend. And sometimes in this, it feels good to go back, like you do a back bend, but I'd like you to keep it as a side bend. And you really feel a nice stretch, a really long stretch all the way from maybe the top of the patella, the kneecap, through the quadriceps, through the psoas, through the hip flexors. Inhale. And then exhale, come back to the center. Now this is going to be a little bit of a strong pose. You can try it if you like to, but if you have knee issues, you may want to just stay here and practice. If you like to practice with me, go ahead and reach your fingertips straight up to the sky. Keep the engagement of the core. Press down firmly through the bottom of your right foot, and then begin to lift the left knee an inch off the ground. That's it. And then keep that left knee bent. The torso is right on the midline of the body. Reach up, inhale, and maybe begin to straighten back that back leg just a little bit or a lot. Take a nice deep inhalation, reach up, and exhale, bring the knee down, bring your hands all the way down to the earth. Take your right leg back behind your top of the push-up. You can go through your vinyasa or just go to downward facing dog or child's pose. You go through vinyasa, bring your knees down, your chest down, your chin down, inhaling up to cobra and exhaling downward facing dog. We're all going to meet in down dog. Take a nice long inhalation through the nose, exhale through the mouth, and then with your next inhalation, lifting the left leg up behind you. Exhale, draw the left knee towards your chest and step the left foot in between the hands. Bring your right knee down to the floor. And then slowly begin to bring your torso up, just like we did on the other side. Interlacing your fingers on top of your left thigh. And practice on this side. Notice how when you move forward a little bit, you may feel a good stretch still, but some of the stretch is transferred to your adductor muscles. So come back up, bring your torso up so it's aligned right along with your knee. Engage the core, pull the belly and lift the chest up. The tailbone is elongated to the floor. Keep the back toes tucked if you can. And then with that core engaged, then you can slowly begin to come forward. And as you do, you notice the stretch more in the quadriceps, in the hip flexors. So pause here for a moment. Inhale. And exhale, keeping the spine long, shoulders soft. And then coming back up a little bit more. Inhale, reach the fingertips all the way up to the sky. With your left hand, grab your right wrist. Reach up first, reach out of your waist. And then exhale, side bend to the left. And as you do this side bend, it feels so good to be able to stretch that entire psoas muscle from all the way, the quadriceps all the way through the hip flexors, psoas, and even a little bit of a stretch on the side body. You may even feel some on your low back if you have more tension in the low back. Inhale, keep it a side bend, not a back bend. Exhale. And then your inhalation is gonna lift you straight up to the sky. Again, you can stay here and practice, or you can go a little bit stronger with me, reaching your fingertips straight up to the sky. Press firmly through the base of your left foot. Tuck your right toes under if they're not already tucked. And then lift your right knee off an inch, just an inch. So the back knee is still bent. Good. Now notice if you lost the long tailbone, pull the belly in so that the tailbone can be long towards your back heel, and then slowly begin to straighten that back leg. Slowly begin to straighten that back leg. Inhale, reach up. Exhaling, bringing the knees all the way down to the floor. Bring your hands down, take your left leg back behind the top of the push-up, and then either do your vinyasa or just go to downward facing dog. You can also do bottom of the push-up, inhaling upward dog or cobra, and then exhaling down dog. Take a nice deep inhalation, nice long exhalation, and then just everybody come down onto your knees, cross your ankles, sit back, and we're gonna come back on our backs. And as you come to your back, have your knees bent, have your feet flat on the floor. With your inhalation, reach your right leg straight up to the sky and cross your right ankle on top of the left knee. Draw the left knee towards your chest. You can interlace your fingers behind the left hamstring. And then in this pose, I usually like to rock a little side to side. Sometimes when I go to the left, I feel more of a stretch on my right hip. See what works best for you right here. So wherever you feel the stretch, just pause there. Take a nice deep inhalation. Long exhalation. Good. This always feels good, especially after a run or a bike ride, or even if you've been sitting for a while. And then go ahead and release your hold, and then bring the left foot down to the floor. So the right ankle stays on top of the left knee. Now gently begin to twist your lower body so that the bottom of your right foot comes down to the floor as the ankle is still on top of your left thigh. Okay? So if you want to look at this once again, so all you're doing is twisting your lower body so that the bottom of the right foot comes towards the floor as the ankle is still on top of the thigh. So the outside edge of your left thigh is on the floor. And then stay there and practice. You might already feel a good stretch on that IT band on the right side. If you want slightly different stretch, you can begin to bring that right foot off the floor and guide that left guide that right knee, guide the right knee towards the left foot. So it's almost like you're sitting in a cross-legged position, except that you're on your back. So the right knee is being guided towards the left foot. Now you can see the bottom of your right foot, so the bottom of your right foot is no longer on the floor. I'm sure you all feel this stretch. Take a nice deep breath wherever you're feeling the tension. And then exhale, slowly begin to come out of the pose just like you went in. So you come into this twist first and then bring that left foot on the floor. Shift your hips over, extend that right leg straight up to the sky. Then you can grab the back of your shin, your calf or your ankle on the right side. Take a nice deep inhalation. Flex that foot, and then as you exhale, you can allow your elbows to go out to the side and gently guide that right leg a little bit closer to you. Inhale and exhale. And then release that right foot all the way down. Inhaling the left leg straight up to the sky. And as you exhale, bring the left ankle on top of the right knee. With your inhalation, you're going to lift that right foot off the ground, interlace your fingers behind the right hamstring, and then rock a little bit side to side. See where you are feeling more of the tension, more of a stretch on that left hip. Wherever that happens to be for you, just pause there for a moment, soften the shoulders and the jaws, and breathe into the stretch. And then once you're ready, release your bind and let the bottom of the left foot come onto the floor next to you. You may need to shift your hips a little bit to the left. Stay here for a couple more breaths. And then slowly begin to bring the bottom of your foot off the ground, your left foot, so that the left knee is now moving towards your right ankle. The left knee moving towards your right ankle. And that certainly feels a little bit different. It's not just the IT band that is feeling it. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale. And if you can hear those snores, it's not me snoring away, it's my dog Shanti. Nice deep inhalation, nice long exhalation. She's my Shavasana buddy. And then slowly bring that leg back up, bring the right knee up. Extend the left leg straight up to the sky. Grab behind your ankle or shin. Take a nice deep breath in. Flex that left foot. And then as you exhale, let your elbows go out to the side so the left leg comes closer and closer to your body. Nice deep inhalation, nice long exhalation. Beautiful. And then just go ahead and release that leg all the way down to the earth. Now a happy baby pose on both sides. Grab the outside edges of your feet. Maybe rock your baby a little side to side. Take a nice deep breath in and exhale. And then bring the soles of your feet together into Supta Baddha Konasana. Good. And I'm going to give you a couple options to close the class with here. So if you like a little bit more stretch in the psoas muscles with a little bit of a back bend, you want to come up to a seat and come into what's called a hero pose or virasana. So for virasana, we sit with our heels right outside the hips. If this is too much for you on your knees, another option which I really like is called the saddle pose. And on the saddle pose, it's the yin version of Virasana. You sit on your heels, you let the knees go out to the side, and then slowly come back. So this is as far as you may want to go. If you're in Virasana, do the same thing. So this may be as far as you might want to go. Maybe after a while you want to go down to your elbows. Now if you're in saddle pose, your knees are going to come off the ground, and that's perfectly fine. You don't have to force them down at all. And then if that feels good, you can maybe even think about going all the way down to the floor. Maybe you can bring your arms overhead and grab the opposite elbows. If there's too much compression on your low back, just back off a little bit. It really isn't worth it, but this gives you a really nice opening through the front body, especially the psoas muscles. You feel a nice stretch in the psoas muscles. Take a nice deep inhalation, nice long exhalation. You can stay here for a couple minutes. You can put this video on pause and just stay here for as long as you like to. It actually gives you a really nice stretch in the front of the feet too. So you get a nice stretch in the top of the ankles. There's compression in the joint, in the knee joints. Opening in the psoas muscles, in the hip flexors. And then once you are ready to move on, we're going to come into our final pose, Shavasana. So slowly begin to come up on your elbows first, and then come up on your hands. And do the same thing if you're in Virasana. I'm just going to demo that for you real quick. So if you were in Virasana the whole time, you're lying down all the way on your back. You'll just gently come up on your elbows first. Keep the chin to your chest, and then press yourself up into your hands. And then wherever you are, go ahead and extend your legs flat on the floor into Dandasana. Inhale, reach your fingertips straight up to the sky, and exhale, begin to bring your torso all the way back. Very slowly use your core to come back down. And then once you arrive your final pose, Shavasana, go ahead and rest there. Let your the back of your scalp rest on the floor. You can lift one shoulder up and tuck that shoulder underneath the lung. Lift the other shoulder up, tuck the shoulder underneath the lung. Let your palms be open towards the sky. Your feet are soft, moving away from each other. Your legs are soft. All the muscles in your body are smooth and soft. Let it all go. Take a nice deep inhalation through the nose and exhale out through an open mouth. Let it go. Please feel free to stay here for as long as you like to. I like taking long Shavasana, so maybe 4 or 5 minutes long. But if you're ready to move on with me for the rest of the day, gently begin to deepen your breath, inhaling through both nostrils and exhale out through the left nostril. Inhale through both nostrils and exhale out through the right nostril. And do this 2 more times, please. Inhaling through both nostrils, exhale out through the left. Inhale through both nostrils, exhale out through the right. And last time, inhale through both nostrils, exhale out through the left. Inhale through both, exhale out through the left. Right. And notice that there's always one nostril that we can breathe out through easier, whichever that is for you. As you draw your knees towards your chest, roll over to that side and just rest for a moment. And always give yourself gratitude and appreciation for creating the time and space to get on your mat. Give yourself a nice big hug and a pat in the back. And then gently press yourself up to a comfortable seat. Bringing your hands to your heart center. Thank you as always for allowing me to share this practice with you. May this practice bring you so many benefits in your life. Namaste. Have a beautiful day.